Hi everyone, CeeCee here for another documented life project start to finish. This is week 5, and for week 5 the challenge is to use underpaper, and the prompt is what lies beneath. Now, a little side note about underpapers: I've never really used them, or I should say I've never really grunged up my underpaper. I've always kept them quite clean. I come from a card making background, so we mostly use non-stick craft sheets. And for me to have an underpaper is something very new. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I took a photo of this underpaper in particular that you're seeing right now, and I posted it on Instagram because I was really proud of myself for having done that. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks after, we get to use it for this challenge, which is awesome. That's serendipitous. So I'm gluing these two pieces of paper down with my favorite glue. It's the Collage Page, and it's no different than other mediums, except that I love that it comes in a squeeze bottle. Makes it very easy to use, and it's actually very matte, and your pages won't stick together if you use this. You can also use this as a sealer for your pages. So when I started this spread, I didn't really have a plan for the pages. I knew I wanted to do some masking, some glazing, but I wasn't sure how to attack this. And then I remembered a project I did last year, I think, in a class, and I thought, oh, I remember I had so much fun doing that. Let's go for this. So right now I'm just cutting around the pages. I'm removing the excess, and I'm going to be filling some of the spaces on the paper with some paint. And as you can see, I use whatever paint I have. It doesn't matter what brand to me. This is just having fun. It's going to be, most of it will be covered up, and so it really doesn't matter what brand or how expensive or fancy it is. This is my art journal. It's not a canvas. It's not going to go up on my wall. And I have to mention that this underpaper is actually moving paper. My dishes were packed in that paper, and I have a lot left over. I kept it all. And it's kind of like that ugly newsprint paper. So it's very important for me to hide these spots with color. I wanted color everywhere. On the spread, I'm going to be doing some glazing as well as masking. And this is a homemade mask that I made myself, and I'll explain the story later. For now, I'm showing you a grain of rice. This grain of rice was the last remaining grain of rice that was stuck inside my computer for a while after water damage, and I will tell the story in my weekend vlog, which will probably be posted on Monday. So if you're interested in the story, you can just watch my weekend vlog this coming Monday. But I wanted to immortalize that onto my journal page because that's what it's all about. You document your life, and it's a funny story, so I thought I would take the opportunity to embed that grain of rice in there. I'm giving it one last coat of Collage Page before doing the masking and the glazing, just to protect what's underneath and to make my pages sturdier. Now I'm mixing white paint and glazing medium. This is the satin one, and of course I have prepared way too much because I kept increasing the glazing medium. I thought it was just too white, and I didn't want to have complete coverage. So let me explain a bit about the mask. I had found this photo on a magazine last year, and I really liked the birds. It was birds on a branch. So I decided to sketch my own interpretation on a piece of acetate. This is just regular acetate, bought at an office supply store. And I used it as a mask on a project, on a tote bag actually. And I so enjoyed the process that I thought I would have fun with it again today. And finally, here's the reveal, and what I'm left with are these 3 colorful birds, and I love that. I'm using a baby wipe to pat down some of that glaze because I was seeing too many brush strokes and I really wanted to have the texture of the under paper to show through. I'm also covering some colors from the under paper just for added interest here and there, but not too close to the birds though. Otherwise the birds will merge too much with the background and I'm going to lose them. So because I have an enormous amount of glaze, I decided to use it up in my other art journal, and I'm just using a Petty Parish stencil to get rid of some of that glaze over a background that I've already made. And I'm just going to use it later on. And yes, this is a catalog. And I'm smushing some of that glaze on the paper, also removing some of it because it was just too much. But check out the texture I got from this. Isn't that fun? I can't wait to play with that. It's gorgeous. I love that mess. It's a beautiful mess. And now with a black permabob pen, I'm tracing the outline of each of the birds. And my lines are very sketchy. I can't draw straight lines really. So it's easier to just make sketchy lines. It looks as if you've done it on purpose. I've also traced a heart around the grain of rice. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I guess it makes my heart sing because it's out of the computer. I'm also using the permaball pen to trace the branches because these poor birds right now, they're kind of floating about. They need to sit on something. I'm also adding some eyes to the birds. And this is a raw umber paint, and I'm adding this inside the branches. I felt it needed some kind of neutral color to contrast against those bright colors, but I did not want to use black. So raw umber is a tad lighter, but it works. It works with these colors, I feel anyways. And now I'm going to correct my lack of perspective. That branch needs to go over the bird on the right. I'm also adding some sketched leaves and reinforcing the sketchy lines around the tree branches. And again, this is just me playing and having fun. So I kind of like decide on the spur of the moment where I want to go because I really didn't have any preconceived ideas. This is an old book. It's actually an Agatha Christie book in French. And I'm punching circles. And these are going to be for the dates of this week. And I'm going to list all the supplies that I've used in my blog post. So my blog post should be up when you view this video. So I'll link it in the description below. Again, using the collage polish to glue down those circles, and I'm going to arrange them in a column on the left hand side. This is a black Stabilo all pencil. It's aquarellable, so it's going to provide the shading that I want for the right side of the images. And I'm using a Nichi water brush to blend the color, and I'm also using my fingers to spread the black around a little bit, soften up the edges. I honestly don't know what I would do without that pencil, for sure. Now, Again, this is all about having fun. As you can see, I am actually painting the leaves red. Why? Probably because I was trying to match the red leaves up top. And I didn't care for them. So later on I'm going to add some green over that. And all of a sudden they'll turn into leaves that you can find in the fall. So this is just a stencil, a plastic stencil that I purchased years ago at an office supply store. And I'm using the big brush pen by Faber-Castell to trace the numbers. And what's great about this is that it's actually made of India ink, so it will remain permanent once everything is done, once it's dry actually. I'm also using the Stabilo pencil to go around the circles, and again adding some water just to make them pop. And I'm tracing lines in between. These are going to be for my journaling block. I decided not to add a quote for this page. I'm going to let my journaling speak. So the prompt of what lies beneath will be addressed with my journaling, but that's personal to me, so I will not show that here. So this is where I'm adding the lime green color over the leaves, and this is the Mean Streak Stick by Sharpie, and that will provide the highlight on the left hand side of the images. So on the right I've got the shadow, on the left I've got the highlights because my light source I've determined would come from the left. And that pretty much concludes my art journaling for today. I'm going to give you a close-up of all that texture and color. Most of that texture comes from either liquids that got dropped on the under paper or also cleaning out my stencils. As you can see here, I had a bit of light molding paste onto a stencil and I cleaned it off on my under paper and it created dots, and I'm so loving this, and I was able to preserve that inside the birds, which is awesome. As I mentioned before, there's a bit of a story behind this spread, so I will address this in my chit chat session this weekend, which will be posted on Monday, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I will see you later. Bye.